We have seen oil prices surge after Iran's president and the news of Iran's president dying. We have seen rising political uncertainty in oil-producing nations. Remember, of course, we were earlier also seeing geopolitical tensions in the region. And now the Saudi crown prince also postponing his Japan trip, citing the king's health. Experts, of course, saying they're awaiting clarity on OPEC and OPEC allies and their policy announcements on the 1st of June. But to decode really the impact on oil prices of this news development, we have with us Nasser Salim, managing partner at Flexi Capital and someone who tracks the markets very closely. Nasser, what does this mean for the equity and commodity space in the near term to begin with, for oil prices in the near term to start with, for those watching at home?
Good afternoon, Sakshi, and thank you very much for having me back on your show. So I think 2-3 key points. Markets are forward-looking, and prices move in tandem with the future outlook. Now, in any type of uncertainty, we've seen this repeatedly. It has an impact on the immediate impact comes in on equity markets, on commodity prices. And obviously, most important is gold and oil. There has been tension which has been building in that part of Asia, and we've seen repeated reinforcements, whether it's in terms of the army moving ahead on account of the Gaza issue. Iran was supporting Gaza. They had issues with Israel. Now, obviously, when you've lost an important head of state of a country which has been talking about the geopolitical tension in that area, all of a sudden, it does signal a bit of a, for a shorter period of time, a bit of a sense of worry. And I think that is what is reflective on the prices today. If you look at commodities and if you look at oil in specifically, it's shot up, because there is uncertainty. Whenever there is any noise around uncertainty, war, death, accidents to this effect, heads of state losing their lives on account of maybe an accident, right? There is a certainty and uncertainty that starts building up. And I think that is reflective in today's price highs as far as oil is concerned.
Right. That's as far as, of course, today is concerned, Nasser. But for those watching and, of course, also wanting to track this space very closely, what does this mean in the long run then? Like you mentioned, there has already been geopolitical concerns. Now we have political concerns also in the region. So really, what does this mean for the long run?
See, in our opinion, too early to say anything in the long run for now, because in the long run, everything will remain intact, right? There are opportunities like these which we have no control on. These are events. This is an event-led price appreciation, and eventually will settle down, is what I feel and what we feel. The immediate impact, obviously, because of uncertainty, is the first impact is oil has shot up, and it will have a reverberating effect on economies which are consuming imports of oils, and India is actually right in the middle of it. As you know, we are an 80% importer of oil. Almost 80 to 84% of oil gets imported. And that's a very important, barometer on our fiscal situation as far as India is concerned. And it's a fiscal burden. So the immediate is going to be a little, jittery, volatile. But we're assuming, because there's also been a statement from the Iranian Khamenei, the previous president, to say that things are in control. The government will not let this impact the working of the government and impact its members of the public. Obviously, we are all in solidarity in whatever has happened to the Iranian president. But the statement is very, very clear that it will not impact the functioning of the government. Now, what needs to be seen is how things get unfolded in terms of, further investigation to lead. Primary investigation suggests that it seems to be because of poor weather conditions, there is helicopters crashed, but more information will come out, and we're assuming that things will start going back to BAU, which is business as usual.
Right. So we are awaiting further clarity. We're hopeful that in the long run, the impact will not sort of be as significant as you mentioned. But of course, like you mentioned, India really, where demand for oil continues to grow, So for those wondering, saying while we have events like this, we have situations like this where of course geopolitical tensions continue to rise, political uncertainty also continues to rise. So in a situation like this, what is India really to make of this situation, especially as far as oil prices are concerned, given the fact that we are a nation that is increasingly the demand for oil where increasingly is growing?
So a very interesting question, and what I would want to say to this is two things. One, from a capital market perspective, any event like this is an opportunity because when prices of oil go up, usually equity markets respond on the other way, right? When prices go up, equity markets tend to fall because obviously consumption input cost goes up. And therefore, that has an impact on production and the entire cycle, right? And everything will eventually get passed on to consumers, which is on account of inflation. Now, what we see is that obviously India's dominance and impact of oil continues to be significant in terms of managing its own treasury. But there is also a lot of push, I must inform you, that is being done in India in terms of EVs. Of course, it's a distant dream. There is a lot of under-capacity utilization at the moment. A lot of manufacturing has to pick up there. A lot of scale has to come in. But we strongly feel that the dependence on oil will start to come down because the government is at least talking about it now. It may take 5 to 10 years, rightfully so, because there's infrastructure which is required and allied infrastructure that needs to support that kind of vision. But for now, I think it's an opportunity for capital markets because it will react if this unfolds further. It's something which is not known to the markets. One is that. Number two, I think from a medium to long-term perspective, fundamentals in India are very, very strong. And we feel that an event like this will have an episodic reaction in the capital markets, which may not or will not, if I can say so, change any direction of the capital markets from a medium to a long-term perspective.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your insights. And of course, we will continue to track this development and the impact it has, like you mentioned, on the equity as well as the commodity space very closely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.